Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. This is Thursday Tier Talk. And tonight we have quite a very special Tier Talk tonight because towards the end of the show, we're going to dedicate the last 15, 20 minutes or so to a North London Derby preview where we will be featuring Maurice Shortall from Cheap Heat Productions podcast, who you all know as the Gooner. Fantastic channel. Get over there, check it out. But also making his return to creating podcast material on YouTube as well. Kyle Gunnar Walsh will be back with a bang, giving us his views on Arsenal at the moment and his thoughts on the North London Derby coming up. A massive game for Arsenal and a statement game for their season if they're really going to be title contenders and in this title race and everything else. We'll also be keeping you updated on Fulham versus Chelsea. Not going too well for Graham Potter. Will I am getting the first one. It was sort of written, wasn't it, that that's kind of what might have happened. And of course, they won't be happy either. Bert Leno, ex-Gunner, in the net as well for Fulham. So a lot of layers to that onion tonight. And also Joe Felix making his debut for Chelsea. With a few nice little tricks in the first 10 minutes or so. He showed us what he's all about. But the Premier League, my friend, is not the place for that kind of shenanigans. Also, my friend, how are you? Welcome to the show, my co-host, the Dazzler himself. After going through all that.
I'm good, yeah. He was all plumage in the first 10 minutes, wasn't he there, Joe Felix?
Yeah.
Nothing concrete, no goals, no assists just yet. No, he hasn't just crossed the line into superstardom yet at Chelsea. But he'll endear himself to the fans with a couple of cheap flicks and stuff like that,
Well, it's just gone 1-1.
Has it now?
It's just gone 1-1. Is it Joe Felix is the question. I'm waiting to get the update here.
Let's have a look. No, good for Darren, who has him in fantasy football. Yes.
Nice.
I hope young Andrew comes into the chat here, because he'll tell you, I put the boy Koulibaly in because Chelsea had a double game week, and I actually said he's always good for a header, this fella, because every time there's a corner, he looks threatening. Now, what he loses out for in clean sheets, he might make up for it headers, this guy. So I stuck him in, and he's come up trumps for me tonight. Yes, Khalido, get in there.
This is out in brain.
Lovely.
Soccer.
Yeah, he's a big buckle, isn't he?
He is a big buckle, yeah. Morris in the comments, of course. Morris is going to be joining us in about 35 minutes or so because we're running a little bit late. Currently listening to Will I Am cooking a full ham left over from Christmas. Life is good. And Acer's joins us tonight as well. How are you, Acer's? 1-1, yeah, absolutely. Koulibaly with the equaliser. Potter will be happy about that, so we'll keep an eye on that for you.
Sure will.
Let's start. We're going to have a Premier League preview. It's a massive weekend in the Premier League. Double derby weekend. Not often it happens, and some fantastic fixtures. So let's get right into this.
Double derby, huh? Get the old hands on for this one.
Obviously, Thursday, we're following Fulham versus Chelsea. We'll keep you abreast of anything that happens there. But we kick off tomorrow night, Friday, Aston Villa versus Leeds.
Yeah, this will be a good game, I think. Unai Emery not just finding his feet yet at Aston Villa. Obviously, a huge defeat last week in the FA Cup. Yeah. Leeds getting out of jail. I got to say, did you watch the Leeds Cardiff game?
I did.
Leeds Cardiff was a great game. It was a real FA Cup tie, end to end, 2-footed tackles, crosses. It was just the penalty save from the keeper, everything. It was just brilliant. It really, I really got into it way more than I should have, because let's be honest, it was Cardiff and Leeds. I shouldn't have had any interest in it, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, I have to say. Leeds doing well under Jesse Marsh. A couple of players coming to the fore there that I'm really impressed with. The boy Nanto that plays on the wing is a really nice little footballer. He's a full Italian international. The boy Rodrigo seems to be finding his feet in front of goal. We know Aston Villa are going to cough up chances. It's all dependent on how many they can put away. That's the big thing for Villa. Villa aren't scoring enough goals and they're conceding too many. It's very, very simple. It's actually a very similar conundrum to what Leeds are doing. Not scoring enough and conceding too many. I see a few goals here. Maybe not maybe not 4 like we seen last week, but I certainly think we'll get 3. And I'm just going to go on the side of Villa, and I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah. Acer's letting us know there that Leno dropped the ball. What a howler.
Yeah, and what looks like happened is João Felix took a free kick, and it looked like it was almost going wide, apparently, from what they're saying on live score. And Leno tried to catch it, and as he tried to catch it, he fumbled it out, and Koulibaly knocked in the rebound.
Fair enough. He's also telling us that news is coming out as well that Darwin Núñez is now out now between 4 to 6 weeks, apparently. So that job of us filling up the Liverpool Royal Infirmary continues, as we do. Just to let you know, folks, there's quite a storm here at the moment as well. So if power goes, it's in the lap of the gods here at the moment. We're getting absolutely banged here at the back of the house with gale force winds.
Pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty bad. All right. Let's move on then. Saturday, 12:30, the Manchester Derby, United versus City.
Yeah, huge game. I suppose, we're on an 8-game winning run. It's been a long time since we've won 8 games in a row in all competitions. It really is. Flying at the minute. Marcus Rashford just looks rejuvenated. Looks like a real star in the making again, like he did when he first hit the scene at Old Trafford. City obviously aren't playing exceptionally well at the minute. They gave us an all-merciful hoidie at the Etihad earlier on in the season. They really did. We didn't get to grips. They moved the ball too quickly. They took over the midfield. There's a lot changed since then. Obviously, Casemiro's come in and he's really done a job for us. And Varane and Martinez, we're hoping, are fit and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think this will be a good game. I think this is a huge test for both clubs because City, obviously, going out in the quarter-final, the Carabao the other night to Southampton, it's not something that Pep Guardiola is used to. They've almost owned that trophy themselves in the last number of seasons. He likes to win that. He likes to get the ball rolling and stuff like that. And they won't take kindly to being dumped out. So they could have their back against the wall at Old Trafford the weekend, and it could spur them on. And we know on their day, Man City are, they're probably the best team in the league when they really turn it on. So it could be a good game of football. I expect there to be goals. I'd be very, very happy with a draw and to keep moving, keep the momentum, stay unbeaten and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I am with it. I think I'm gonna go 2-2 on this one.
You're gonna go with a draw.
I'm gonna go 2-2 with the draw.
Well, just to shock our subscribers and viewers, I'm gonna go with a United win. And I'm not even messing here. And I know we've been going back and forth in our WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. I think City at the moment, he tinkered with the team yesterday and a little bit of disrespect towards Southampton and thought that they'd roll over and get their bellies tickled, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Southampton were excellent, a full value for their win yesterday.
Southampton were excellent.
Absolutely.
As bad as City were, Southampton were phenomenal. It was a game I watched. They pressed and pressed and pressed. They gave City absolutely no time on the ball. They closed down all the space. Every time one of the City's players got the ball, somebody got to them really quickly. Didn't give them time to, to see what was around them and stuff like that. It was as much about what Southampton did last night as it was what City didn't do. So that's a huge result for them. And well done, Nathan Jones and the lads down at St Mary's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a big opportunity, and this could be a statement win. I think this is a very different Man United side that played City earlier in the season. I think Ten Hag has certainly found his feet. I think Martinez has bedded in great at the back. I think Rashford's right back at it and on it, and Casemiro in there as well with Bruno and stuff like that. That's a very different prospect for City. And City, they're starting to question themselves a little bit at the moment. You know what I mean? It's I think United could beat them on Saturday morning and lay down a marker, and not only beat them, but be full value for their win as well. I would not be surprised at all.
You're preaching to the congregation here, Niall. You're getting me excited. I won't lie.
I know. I don't see why not. If you look at the results that they've dropped,
no, yeah, absolutely.
We've beaten them twice this season. I think Newcastle had a draw with them, Brentford, Everton. Look at all the teams that have taken points off them. Southampton now after dumping them out of the Carabao. Like, you're better than those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the thing I suppose we thought at the start of the season, The Haaland thing, when they brought him in, we thought, if this guy scores goals, it's going to be good night for us all. And he has scored goals, and at times it looked like it was going to be good night. But because he doesn't play as much of an active part in the team, he's literally playing that fox in the box role. So a lot of the time, City are playing with, a keeper at one end and a guy at the other end that doesn't get involved. They've only 9 really players that are chasing that ball, closing down space, trying to create. Because Haaland's not doing that now. He's been told not to do that. So that's something that Guardiola has to look at himself. But I mean, if you can cut off the supply to this guy, you're in with a chance, You really are in with a chance.
And in fairness, when he came on last night against Southampton, he made some really good runs and stuff like that. But Kevin De Bruyne last night, and it's not often we say it, looks like he's brought his form from the World Cup back to Manchester, which was pretty poor in the World Cup. Let's be honest here. We know he's a fabulous player.
Absolutely. We're big fans of his, but he has been a little bit lackluster since he came back. Off the back of a really poor World Cup for himself and for Belgium,
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll see, but could be a huge statement win. Then we move on to the 3 o'clocks, the last team I wanted to play away to with the run that we're on at the moment. Liverpool away to Brighton.
Yeah, absolutely. Brighton are in great form, aren't they? In really, really good form. We know they're a little bit of a bogey side for you lads at times. They really give you the run around on the middle of the park, which we know was one of your weaknesses at the minute. The boy Caicedo and McAllister, they're all going to be there. They're going to be all guns blazing from the first minute. It was actually, we talked about Basuma when he was in there at Brighton, and we thought they're going to really struggle without this guy. They haven't. To lose a guy like Yves Basuma and to be able to, put somebody else in there like a Caicedo and like an Alexis McAllister, and things to just keep ticking along, as if the guys have been there forever. It says an awful lot about the recruitment and stuff like that. I think this could be a tough game for Liverpool. Obviously they're really running out of bodies at the minute. I mean, if you look at the weekend, are Gakpo and Salah the only 2 attacking players they have fit?
There's talk Firmino might be back, but he's coming back off an injury and stuff like that. He may be back, but I mean, he's only coming back. He's had two occurrences now of injuries that have kept him out. So how sharp he will be, I don't know. What he might do is he might put young Elliott up on the left then, and he might switch Gakpo into the middle, and maybe Salah on the right.
Something, or even the boy Carvalho on the left. I liked him coming in from the left.
Yeah, he seems a little bit out of flavour, doesn't he, at the moment, though? He seems to, since the City game, he seems to have because he's benched him or punished him or something like that.
A really good footballer, this kid, don't forget. And a kid we haven't seen the best of just yet. We've seen some really good moments from at Liverpool, but he does seem to be out of favour. I'm getting a whiff the hell Wilfred Zaha's about this. Has he been near Klopp's daughter or something like that we don't know about,
I'm not too sure. Or dare I say Ox? Morris just mentioned it there.
Oh, God.
Let's take some comments. Morris, any update on Shelby? I heard WWE have signed him as a guest referee, Morris. That's the rumour going around. And Aces is then talking about the tornado that's hitting the back of the house. It's a Texas tornado.
Pretty bad out there.
R.I.P. Kerry Von Erich, of course. And Morris back in the comments. Rashford reborn for the 100th time. He's outstanding at the moment.
Niall, we have breaking news from the cottage. João Felix has just been sent off for Chelsea.
You are joking. Oh my
I'm not,
God.
João Felix has just been sent off. Reckless challenge there. João Felix commits a rough foul on Kenny Tete. Sent off after a serious foul. João Felix is dismissed. I don't know if VAR are looking at it. I'm just going on what the commentary is on live score here. But João Felix has been sent off on his Chelsea debut and will now serve a 3-match ban. Oh my God.
I think we have Chelsea soon as well. That could be good news.
Oh my God.
Acer's back in the comments. There will be war tonight. The Chelsea fan base will be going crazy.
Oh,
Acer's back in the comments.
good.
Darren will be singing Blue Moon on Saturday at 2:30. Well, the one thing about Darren, regardless of his colours and who he pins which mast he pins his flag to, he'll always be honest and tell you how he felt about the game and stuff like that.
Sure will,
Morris back in the comments.
It's not always easy.
Morris back in the comments. Very impressed with Eric Ten Hag. Absolutely. Is on a number of levels. on a number of levels. Acers, Newcastle will beat Manchester United on February the 26th at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final. Easy money. Really? I wouldn't be taking Nottingham Forest for granted at the moment. We tried it a few weeks ago, and look what happened.
Southampton with the performance they put in against City. You know, if they get their tails up, Newcastle will have an awful lot of pressure on them over those two legs. And you know, Southampton go out there and play ball. I think James Ward-Prowse at the end of the game last night, he spoke a lot about the fact that it wasn't a league game, and the lads felt an awful lot freer, which was something we mentioned with the FA Cup last weekend. We said there's a lot of teams that can go out there and get results who maybe you wouldn't think would, just on the basis that they've no league. They're not looking up the league table thinking we need a win here, you know? So, yeah.
They need to take that freedom into their league form very quickly, though.
Absolutely.
But I would say, I suppose for the neutral, Newcastle versus Man United in the final because of history and stuff like that would be a nice final. It would be a nice final, I have to say.
Absolutely.
No disrespect to Forest or Southampton.
No.
We have Morris back in the comments. The Ox will probably make the top 3 Saturday. Good Lord, may the Lord forgive us.
The Liverpool-Chelsea game is the second game of João Felix's ban.
Nice. Happy days.
Game week 21, Chelsea play at home against Crystal Palace, and game week 20 and game week 21, they play away in the early kickoff against Liverpool at Anfield. So he will miss that game also.
Morris back in the comments. Cheapy Productions podcast, folks. Go check it out. I'm having a great Thursday. I'd say, Morris. Say, Acers. Ian Kelly will be down at Benoit at the moment.
Oh, God.
Benoit Badashiel. Morris, 3-game ban. Spot on. Absolutely.
3-game ban. Oh, no.
As you said before the podcast, Chelsea, they seem to be the gift that keeps on giving, don't they? It's a real tough one for us because we're Potter fans. It's a tough one for us.
And you know, nobody wants Potter to, you know,
succeed more
to produce the goods of Chelsea more than we do, because we backed the guy to the hilt, and we spoke about him on a number of occasions. You know, when he was linked to the Arsenal job and the Chelsea job, and we kind of said, you know, this guy's a serious operator, and this is the kind of level he can go at. The problem is, how long does Todd Bowley allow this to rumble on? You know, and I read something earlier. If this was under Roman, he'd be gone by now. And I think we can all, you know, understand that. I suppose Bowley, he gave the guy this job and gave him a 5-year deal and told him, we know it's a slow burn. So he kind of can't jump ship on him right now. He needs to give him the time, let him get to the end of the season, let him mould a squad of his own. They've just made some changes in the back room with Chelsea. Obviously, Bowley's now not sporting director and isn't making the calls on the transfers now. So that should help the club massively as well. Trying to get square pegs into square holes and stuff like that, you know.
I'd like to make the point, not only would Potter be gone, but if the results continued, whoever replaced Potter would probably be already gone as well. They're long Graham Potter. Good old Roman, huh? Good old Roman. Let's move on. 3:00, Everton versus Southampton. A massive game for both clubs. This is like a relegation 6-pointer, dare I say.
Yeah, it sure is. Everton obviously put in a reasonable shift last week in the FA Cup at Old Trafford. Southampton, didn't have such a good FA Cup. I'm lying. They did, didn't they? They beat Palace away in the FA Cup 2-1. It was a great result. And then they ran on with a home win against City in the Carabao. So Southampton on the back of 2 wins in a row here. You'd have to think Southampton after the City game will go in here with an awful lot of confidence and will really try and take it to Everton. Everton are going to be under severe pressure. We know what that Goodison crowd is like. They can get on Everton's back very quickly if things don't go their way. And I think they're running out of patience with our friend Frank Lampard. I think Southampton could heap a little bit more misery on Everton this weekend. And I think I'll go 2-1 Southampton.
Really? I think it stinks of a dull old draw. That's what I think. Yeah.
I never gave you my score for the Brighton game, by the way.
Oh, go on, yeah, give us a.
I'm down 2-2 draw as well.
2-2. Very good. I went with 3-2 Liverpool, but I might have to rethink that because when I did my preview, which is available on the channel, released today,
Darwin Núñez was going to play.
in my side. He was playing. He was all good. What's Klopp doing these days in training? I do not know. Forest versus Leicester City. Forest very buoyant from their results at the moment.
Forest
Leicester,
flying.
Brendan,
Absolutely flying.
Brendan at death's door. One foot out the door at the moment by the looks of things.
I don't know if you watched Brendan after the game against Newcastle the other night. He just looked a dejected man. He really did.
Shoulders were at his waist. Did you ever see
Yeah,
him walking?
yeah,
He
very,
started to
very
look like an
difficult.
old man.
Tough for him, you know, when you've had a squad of players, a really, really good squad, and when you've seen them, you know, be shipped out the door one at a time, and you haven't really been allowed to replace them. It's tough, you know. It really is tough. Things need to freshen up at Leicester. I think Leicester needs a drastic change. But here's my call, because you know I like to make these big calls, don't you?
Absolutely.
I see one of two things happening.
Okay.
So depending on how long it takes Rodgers, yeah, to step out the door, I'm going to give you the two names of the two people who Leicester will look to take in.
Okay.
Right? Number one will shock you. Steven Gerrard.
Okay.
Right? And number two, if it's far enough in the distance, Graham Potter.
Interesting. See, Gerrard was linked with some Polish job, wasn't he? I read that the other day.
The Polish job, the Polish
the
international
Poland job, is it?
Oh yes. And he distanced himself from it very, very quickly. David Ornstein from The Athletic was on Sky Sports News the other night when they were doing the headlines, and it was on the back of a lot of the papers, and apparently he'd spoken to somebody, and the word was it wasn't something that Stephen was looking at, and he was looking to get back into either the Premier League or the upper echelons of the Championship with a team that were fighting for promotion. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's back in the comments. United are playing Barcelona on the Thursday of the Carabao Cup final on the Sunday. That'll be a testing out a week. So, Morris back in the comments as well. I hope Potter stays. Leave Todd out of this. Toddy B. Potter should go to Everton. Potter would have more respect for himself. And Acers, this weekend, both teams to score in every game is the way to go. Nice. Give us a little tip there before we hit our beat the bookies. I like that. Wolves versus West Ham.
Wolves are playing really, really well at the minute under Julian Lopetegui. Unlucky the other night to go out on penalties at Forest. Put a great shift in against you guys last weekend. Where, you know, I don't like to use the word rob too often, but where they were on the short end of the stick, let's say, against you guys.
Thank God for
they
VAR.
really were. And I think, you know, we've seen a massive upturn in their fortune since Julian Lopetegui came in. We thought it would happen, and it has. They're still trawling through the market, looking for a couple of players, Wolves. I expect them to make a couple of additions before the end of January, which should keep them safe. West Ham really need to get things going. It's been tough, obviously, at West Ham the last few weeks, losing their chairman and stuff like that, or one of their chairmen. And obviously, they put in a couple of subpar performances. They could really do with a win, but I don't think Saturday's the time they'll get it. I think Wolves might just get something out of this. And again, I think I'll go to draw, and I'll go 1-1.
Yep, good shout. Brentford
I
versus
I didn't give you my not Forest one.
Oh, go on.
I'm going 2-1 Forest.
2-1 Forest. Yeah, not a bad shout at all.
Yeah.
Brentford versus Bournemouth.
Yeah. Is there a team in the league you like watching any more than Brentford? I got to be honest. Well,
Liverpool.
Well,
I don't necessarily like watching them at the moment.
Yeah, well, but Brentford, my God,
they're playing really well.
They're playing really, really well. They're such a well-coached team. They're guys that all go out and just pull in the same direction, knowing that it's for the greater good. You know what I mean? There's no egos. Everything is parked at the door, and it's the way, you know, football should be played. That Brentford Community Stadium gets absolutely rocking. It really does. This half-5 kickoff suits them down to the ground. It's in London. It's nice and busy Saturday evening. Lads can go and have a game of football and then head out for a few bevies afterwards. It's going to be electric, and I think Brentford will do a number on Bournemouth. I think this will be 3-1 Brentford.
Yeah, good show. Not too bad at all. So moving to Sunday. Sunday has three cracking fixtures, I would say.
Sure has.
As good a super Sunday setup as we've seen. Chelsea versus Palace at 2:00.
It's going to be another tough game for Chelsea. I suppose the only thing that
got even tougher tonight. Now no Joe Felix.
Sure did. And I know Chelsea are they'll be at home. Palace are on a really poor run of form. Really, really poor run of form. And Patrick Vieira won't be happy with how things are going. At Palace, conceding a lot of sloppy goals. Like, they got absolutely thumped last weekend at Spurs. It was 0-0 at half time, and it was 4-0 at full time. They got absolutely battered. Then lost in the FA Cup against Southampton. Vieira won't be happy. I expect to see Palace put a much better foot forward. Chelsea, we know things are being really tough again. This is going to be very, very similar to the game tonight. I imagine it's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. It's a London derby. I think just with Chelsea being at home, I'm just going to give it to them 2-1. Just because they're at home. They'll just shade it. But again, I think Palace will be involved in it. They'll be busy. Wilfred Zaha, Michael Elise, Eberechi Eze, all good players. And they'll all be involved, and they'll be trying to create havoc in that Chelsea backline. And it'll be down to how many goals Chelsea can get, because they're really short of goals at the minute.
Poor old Conor Gallagher, he'd be dying to don the Palace jersey again. The way things are going there.
I'm telling you, right?
Yeah, I think Chelsea will just shade it. To be honest with you, I think if just to give you a little update there, Fulham have just scored 2-1 to Fulham. Vinicius Senior has just scored, not Junior. Oh God!
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. I think. What do you reckon? Do you think if Palace were to beat Chelsea at the Bridge on Sunday, do you think his position is a bit untenable then?
I don't think it's untenable. Just throwing out another assist there for our friend Andreas Pereira, who was putting in a superb performance for Fulham this season. Really is.
Dare I say, made a show of us on the first day of the season. Made a show of us. And that's the only way I can describe it.
He's been excellent for them. I know a lot of fantasy football players have him involved, be it in their starting 11 or on the bench, because he's a great option as he's not very expensive and it leaves you money elsewhere. Having a great season. Really, really is. Pereira there with the goal. I think they'll just shade it. If they lost to Palace, would he go? I don't think so. I just don't know, what the next option is for Chelsea if they were to give up on this 5-year plan so quickly. Because again, it brings you down the lane where you're going, well, if this was your 5-year plan, why get rid of him after 4 months? Yeah, he's having a bad time, but you need to give the guy time to build, and nobody's going to build anything in 4 months. It's very, very difficult,
Yeah, I just wonder what the wave of expectation and the wave of where they should.
Listen, the wave of negativity is going to be there, and we know the Chelsea fan base aren't very enamored by Graham Potter at the minute. They probably didn't see him as somebody who was fitting of becoming a Chelsea manager, and then he's come in and the chips are stacked against him. He hasn't had a good time of it, and now all of a sudden,
it's not his team.
It's not his team. And I suppose that it not being his team is one thing, but it's a combination of so many managers' teams. There's bits of so many managers. When you look how far back some of the signings were made, you know what I mean? The likes of Kepa and then Ariza Balaga and stuff like that. And, you've got the two, arguably Chelsea's two best players are Chilwell and Reece James. The English right back and left back when they're fit on their day. Haven't been able to get on the pitch. N'Golo Kante, World Cup winner. We've waxed lyrical about N'Golo Kante on his day. He's been so good. They can't get the guy fit. I did hear an argument that maybe there's an issue with either the Chelsea, in the back room where the doctors and stuff like that, and the physios things, maybe there's something wrong there because of the long list of injuries. I think they've got 4 knee injuries and 3 hamstrings at the minute. And on top of that, they've got a back injury, a finger injury to Bernard Mendy, and then they've another, there's 9 or 10 players out. That's so difficult for any team,
Yeah. Acer's back in the comments. Mauricio Pochettino is Bucky's favourite to replace Potter. And Morris is back. Chelsea and Brentford at a par right now in terms of entertainment. Acer's just letting us know 2-1. Kepa is in no man's land. That's what.
Why doesn't that shock us?
Yeah, we better move quickly through the rest. Then Newcastle versus Fulham.
Yeah, Newcastle. Obviously, this would be huge if Fulham could hold on tonight. But I think Newcastle are just flying at the minute. They're absolutely flying. They're on the back of their Carabao Cup win. They're on the way to the semi-finals. They're in the Champions League spots in the league. Eddie Howe can do no wrong at the minute. This is really, really big for Newcastle. And I suppose Fulham, if they pick up a win tonight, the urgency of winning another game is kind of gone a little bit. This is a big game for Fulham tonight. They're home. It's a West London derby. I think it's 2 wins in 43 years against Chelsea. So it will be a massive win tonight. And it would kind of be like Fulham blowing their load a little bit early. And Newcastle then will pick up. My tip for Newcastle at the weekend, I've seen him play in the last 2 games and he started to look a little bit sharp. The boy Alexander Isak, he plays the second half against Sheffield Wednesday, and then he came on against Leicester the other night. If he gets involved at Fulham, I think he gets a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. We won't touch Tottenham and Arsenal because we're going to have the boys on to preview that, and they'll be joining us shortly. So what we'll do is we won't get into too much transfer news. We'll skip straight away to beat the bookie, get our bets done, get them out of the way, and then we'll bring the boys on, I think, to do the North London derby with us. I think that's the best way to go. I think most people are pretty much aware of the transfer news at the moment. Wout Weghorst for United looks like it's going to happen. Obviously, Joe Felix into Chelsea was the big one this week. And there's a kind of a sprinkling of stuff going around at the moment, but nothing kind of
Leeds have just gone and thrown a huge deal on the table for the boy Rutter.
Record signing, isn't it? Record signing
from Hoffenheim. Yeah. Obviously, when we think of Hoffenheim, Roberto Firmino, he came out of Hoffenheim, and Joe Linton, he came out of Hoffenheim. Now, if this kid is as good as either of those 2 boys, because we're big fans of both of theirs, by the way, that'd be huge for Leeds. Looks a good signing. They've paid big money here. This could go up to 40 million, which for Leeds is a huge statement on what they're trying to do right now. And that would be massive for them. You get that over the line.
And it might not be necessarily the route they should be going. Maybe if they're going to spend 40 or 45 million, maybe they should be considering 2. Who knows? But we'll see.
I think your problem is goal scorers are at a premium in all leagues in the world right now. There's so many really, really good number 9s. There's so few really, really good number 9s. That they're goal.
You're gonna get rinsed, and no one wants to sell them
for 20 million. I'll be honest, you're probably shopping in the Championship. You can possibly go and get yourself a Bren Breyer and Diaz, or, you can go and get yourself, a Chuba Akpom, who's at Middlesbrough there having a great season. Somebody like that, maybe the guy Ilman Ndoye at Sheffield United, again, Senegalese international, super footballer. That's 20 million. And if that doesn't work in the Premier League, you've got 20 million of an asset that's sitting there. So I think they're probably right. I think the thing for Leeds is, even if they don't manage to, if this transfer didn't work the way, they had hoped, if they're putting out, 28 million to begin with, and if things don't go the way that they'd like it to go, they don't pay the extra 12, and they probably don't lose more than 10 to 15 on them, so the asset doesn't appreciate as much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no, I
that's
get you.
probably where they're balancing the books. If something doesn't go right with a £20 million Brent Burton Diaz, he's 8 or 9 million next window. And
Plus, I
that's
suppose they're not ponying up the 40 million all in one go. I'd imagine there's a schedule of payments as well. So it's
it's 28 million up front, and the rest are add-ons and performance related and stuff like that. So they've leveraged the deal in a very clever way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into Beat the Bookie. Give me some of your picks, because we have the boys backstage waiting to come on for the North London Derby. So
you give me your picks first.
Well, I'll give you mine first then, right? So I went with a Derby day. I went with a Derby double for the weekend. And the Derby double I went with at 8-1 is Man United and Arsenal. I went with 2 upsets. Yeah, so that's my first one at 8-1. So if you didn't believe me in the WhatsApp chat that I was being real, that I wasn't probing people or trying to entice people out, I have a funny feeling about United this weekend. I really, really do.
Oh God, I do hope so.
I wouldn't be one to say it. It would kill me to say it, remember, because I'm a Liverpool fan.
Sure does.
Next thing I went, which was a good one as well, and it was your favourite bet, both teams to score and result. And I went with Man United in the derby, I went with Arsenal in the derby, and I went Newcastle to beat Fulham. Both teams to score and result, 80-1.
With United, Arsenal, and Newcastle.
Yeah, 80-1.
I would have said they were quite short, those odds.
I don't know. I don't know, because look, if you look at the 6 teams, it's a flip of a coin with them at the moment in terms of form.
Oh, listen, yeah, there's games there. You know, there's absolutely games there. But yeah, I don't know. I think all 3 of them to happen is.
Do you know what I read yesterday? And it's an interesting one. I don't think I've seen it before. I think United are 3-1 to win at Old Trafford in the derby. When have we ever seen United at 3-1 at home? That's an interesting one, isn't it?
They are 3-1.
Yeah.
They're here on Paddy Power at the minute at 3-1. City are 4-5. So City are money on in the form they're in, going to Old Trafford. Wow.
United are going to beat them. Then I went with the Saturday draws. I went Brighton and Liverpool to draw, and Everton and Southampton to draw. And Wolves and West Ham to draw. All 3 will give you 87-1. 3 draws.
Okay.
And then I went with an interesting one with a hunch of my bets. Rashford to score first in the derby, and Man United to win 2-1 is 66-1. And in the under derby, I gave you another one. Granit Xhaka to score first, and the boys will be interested to see how this goes. And Arsenal to win 2-1 is 75-1. And you might be even able to combine both of them maybe for a double as well. That would be off the Richter, I'd say.
That would be.
I might throw a few quid on a few of these because the odds are very, very tempting.
That would be big money for Niall at the weekend. Big money.
Xhaka, the big player for the big match.
I have some bets done up, but the issue is I don't have prices because Paddy Power won't work for me, which we've gone through this quite a few times. But anyway, shall I go through my bets for you?
Give us your bets then, saying as you don't have the odds, you can give us the bets, yeah.
Yeah, so I've gone for 3
just before
homes.
you go any further, my lights and all are flickering here at the moment with this storm. I may not have power shortly.
So I've gone for Brentford at home.
Yeah.
I've gone for Forest at home to Leicester.
Yeah.
And I've gone with Southampton away to Everton.
Yeah.
And that's a little treble I've gone for.
Okay.
It won't pay massive money, but it'll probably be 12-1 in and around.
You have a tenner on a 12-1 shot. It's not too bad.
It's not goals scored. It's nothing like that. It's just Southampton, Forest, and Brentford.
Morris, use the hot spot in the dark. Can you imagine? Morris is getting the champagne ready, and Mount just came off.
He was booked before he came off as well.
Yeah.
Niall
has hurricane come true. Yeah, absolutely. There's a hurricane coming through. Yeah.
My
Oh, Mike.
next one is my favourite bet. You know what's coming here. So it's result
Yep.
and both to score.
Yep.
I'm going with Villa on Friday night, which I don't tend to do because if they lose, then it's your bet gone. So
Yeah.
I've gone for Villa on Friday night. I've gone for Southampton with them because, again, I do think Everton will be in the game because it's Goodison and Calvert-Lewin's kind of back playing and stuff like that. And there was a couple of moments from Everton the other day at Old Trafford, So I've gone for Villa and I've gone for Southampton, and I'm gonna throw Wolves in with them. So it's Villa, Wolves, and Southampton all result in both to score. That'll be good money. That'll be probably something similar to your 80-1, I'd imagine.
You know, the way you've put that across there, that's probably the most unconvincing both teams to score and result bet you've presented this season. I don't think you're giving me the bet all right, but the way you look on screen, you look like it's kind of one of them is a Friday, so that's a killer.
Well, I just don't like the Friday. And the other two are about 3 o'clock on Saturday, but so typically I will go with 3 o'clocks. And I suppose, if you want,
but it's out of your alley because you won't be able to see the lineups, which is what you like, because one of them is a Friday and you have to put your bet on.
Yeah.
So you'll be going in blind for your 2 or 3 o'clocks, which is way against your will.
Yeah, I sure will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's my other one.
Brilliant. Excellent. Right. Shall we bring our friends in from backstage?
You're gonna have to bear with me because I need to plug in my
you
plug in the iPad and get a different set of earphones, because when I have to plug that in, it's got to plug out. Brilliant.
What's up?
How are we, man?
You're muted, Kyle.
Kyle, you're on mute.
All good,
there
man. All good.
What's the story? Welcome back, Kyle. Love the video earlier. Love it.
Thanks, and thanks for your comments, man. I didn't get back to you, but thanks for the comments and stuff like that. It's about time I got back into the action. It's about time I started kicking some ass on this YouTube again, like.
It was a brilliant video as well, because it was like you were coming out of a cave to come back. It was like you were in hibernation for the winter, so it was brilliant. Loved it. Absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you are smiling tonight looking at Fulham and Chelsea as well, no doubt.
Yeah, just get the champagne going.
Morris has the
oh, there we go.
What's the score there, Niall?
It's a 2-1 to Fulham at the moment. Joe Felix was sent off as well. Straight red card as well. 3 games.
One man Felix.
By the sounds of things.
Fantastic.
Morris has the champagne now. But yeah, welcome back, Kyle. Also, everyone, check out both guys' channels as well. Absolutely fantastic. Cheap Heat Productions podcast and Kyle Walsh Gunner as well. Absolutely brilliant. We don't mess around when we deal with these guys. And I have to say, Darren looks like he's on the Irish ferries or something like that.
Things aren't going well here, lads. I'll be fine.
To Fulham. Beautiful.
Jesus, that's a glass or a bucket, Morris. What's going on there?
That is I thought you were going to spray it all around the studio like Lewis Hamilton or something.
No, it's already messy enough in here. You wouldn't want to see the other side of it. Santi toys everywhere.
What's he saying there? Acers is in the comments. We go through some of them. Wolves are a risk. Morris, first of all, with his comments, that Wolves are a risk goal was absolutely. Acers in the comments. I have a double banker for next weekend, Liverpool and Arsenal. Okay, we'll take a look at that. And
when is Jerry gonna tell us he's Acers?
It's definitely not him, do you know that? Because I figured it out because he works when this guy is commenting, so it can't be him.
So does Acers want to tell us who he is?
I don't know. He might divulge himself. Morris rocking the Moore Street jersey. That's terrible, Morris. Terrible. And Ian is on. Sorry, I'm late, fellas. Not a bother. What's the crack, Noel? All good. Hope you're doing well, Daz, I presume. Morris and Kyle. Absolutely, Ian. Great to see you here, man. Darren, first of all, before we start getting into this North London derby, what do you think of Morris's jersey, his Nigerian jersey?
Oh, it's weird, isn't it?
That's what he thought of it.
Yeah. What do you think of my new blue jersey, Darren?
Yeah, it's tops, Morris. Looks great. Are you
You living near Parnell Street at the minute, yeah?
No, I had a one for all voucher that needed to be used, so I bought some weird shit.
I hope the AFCON and everyone else appreciate your dedication with your one for all voucher.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
They were
Kyle, how are you getting on,
they were
mate?
sold out with Saudi.
Getting on okay, Niall.
Are you getting battered down there? You getting battered by the storm as well, yeah?
Niall is starting to come in there. I drive a bus there for a living, and today when I heard about it there, 10 o'clock this morning, they were giving us a weather warning, high winds and stuff like that. But if lucky enough down here, the sunny southeast was okay. But the wind, I can hear the wind starting to gather up now, Niall. Warning the last 20 minutes, man. Apart from that, we had a good day here today.
There. I can hear tiles and all moving at the moment. The lights are flicking. It's like something out of a horror movie here at the moment.
Like the film Twister, Night.
This could become a convertible very quickly. There might be nothing above the head sound the way things are going. Right, let's kick it off. North London Derby. Yeah, it's safe to say it's a great weekend. Derbies clashing and stuff like that. But North London Derby. Morris, you begin. Tell us your thoughts.
I think that we probably, well, I think it's definitely the one time in the last 4, 5, 6 years we go into this game way ahead of them. They're normally ahead of us or within touching distance anyway. But we're top of the league. There's no reason why we can't go there and win. They're serial losers. Won't win anything this season again. Shouldn't be anything to fear there.
Good. I like that confidence.
Yeah.
Kyle, initial thoughts.
I don't have the confidence that Morris has. I wish I did, but I don't. Yeah, I'm going to this game.
It's probably the champagne.
Very, very nervy. Harry Kane has. It's like the script could be written for him. 2 goals to break Jimmy Greaves' record. The Gunners, the record down there is not great over the last few years. I don't know. I don't know. This time last year, we were further on in the season, we had to beat them to get this Champions League spot. We fucking messed up there. And I won't be surprised if he's come off on Sunday. I was surprised with the game against Newcastle. Yeah. People can say, penalties and jerseys being pulled off, lads, and Newcastle know what they were doing, and Newcastle are a good team. But it's up to Arsenal to come up with the answers, and they couldn't come up with them.
Well, do you know something?
The squad is very, very wafer team. When you look at the bench, it's not good. Are we seriously relying on Eddie and Nketiah to score a couple of goals on Sunday? There's a few questions to be asked.
It's his big chance. It's his big chance now, Kyle. It's kind of now or never, isn't it, for him?
Morris.
These big games.
I'll tell you the truth, yes. If he don't produce the goods, excuses. Morris, mate, listen, with me, no excuses. This man has had chance after chance after chance. To me, he's not good enough. So on Sunday, he has to go out and prove a point.
Yeah. Do you know what's even worse, though, Kyle? What's even worse is there's no one to bring on for him. There's no other striker on the bench.
That's it,
Do you know what I mean? So he has to play.
What is so away for Tin Man? If we want to win the league, if we want to be a Premier League winning side, we have to have more than 80 and KTMS. You know what I mean? Why are we not doing anything in this transfer window? It's nearly 2 decades since we won the Premier League. This is our closest chance, our best chance to win one in years. I know we had that one when Leicester won it. But we should be out there, 2 or 3 players. Let's get these lads. End of story. Edu and Vainai sitting on their hands as usual. Sick of it. Year in, year out. I'm sick of it.
I like a couple of the points that you make. One, I would say there's no doubt Arsenal are trying to do business at the moment, and I think they will bring in players. I know the timing of it, you'd like it to be a little bit quicker, but the January window can be a little bit difficult because teams don't necessarily want to let players go. Yeah. And sometimes the player has to force his hand in order to make it happen. The other thing, the point that you make there, if I'm Arteta walking into that dressing room, I'm not going to say a thing on Sunday, whenever it is, Super Sunday. I'm going to walk into a whiteboard and I'm going to write, Harry Kane is 2 goals away from Jimmy Greaves' record. And I'm going to write it nice and big. And I'm going to write it there in front of the players. And I'm going to walk back out of the dressing room. And I'm going to let them all digest that. And Ramsdale, as mad as he is, and Saliba and Gabriel have to pony up and they have to show up on Sunday and make sure that they don't allow Harry Kane either match or beat Jimmy Greaves' record while they're playing Arsenal in the North London Derby. And that's the way it has to be. And he has to use that as motivation. And the one thing about Arteta is he seems to be a very good motivator. He was brilliant in the documentary. He can motivate these players. And if there was ever a time, if you look at Arsenal at the moment, where they normally slip up and where they normally fall down is not what they're doing this season. They're changed in that kind of way. And I think they have a real good chance of going to Spurs. I don't think Spurs are playing that well. I think you match up well with them. I think in midfield, you can certainly dominate. And again, up front, I think you've more than enough to get the job done. And I think Eddie, in fairness, with all the criticism that he gets and stuff like that, and he was getting a lot of it last week, and then he showed up. I think a lot of fans were going in on him. And then what did he do? He banged in 2, didn't he? So I just think it's this just could be one of those seasons like Leicester where it's Arsenal's time. And I've said it already. I wouldn't be surprised at all, even if Arsenal went on and did a double. That's it. That's how I feel about how they're playing, stuff like that. They're one of the most stable teams in there at the moment. And when I look at them playing stuff like that, there's a purpose to their play. Does that team spirit is there with them as well. They're all playing for each other. And I wouldn't read too much into the Newcastle result, and I'm sure Darren will back me up on this. Newcastle are a good team. They've beaten good teams this season and got really good results against good teams this season. It's not a sin at all to draw against Newcastle in any way, shape, or form. They're well coached. Eddie Howe knows what he has to do and stuff like that. And yeah, you might turn around and say, but yeah, if you want to be a title winning side, you have to figure that out. Look, Liverpool won the title, and at times they played against teams like that and they didn't figure it out. You know what I mean? And the other thing I would say is don't be too caught up about whether you have an option of a striker on the bench. Liverpool plays with 4 defenders and 6 midfielders, so don't be worrying about it. You know what I mean? But I think Arsenal could really do the business here in this North London derby and make a statement. And it'll be interesting as well, because if results go the other way and United were to beat City, that gap is starting to look tasty again. Darren.
I think I personally think this is going to be a draw on Sunday. You know, I think obviously you've got Kane. I think you've got Spurs, not necessarily coming into form. They're still a little bit lackluster at times under Conte. There's times where they look unbelievable. Second half last week, they were just unbelievable. But the first half last week, they were absolutely abysmal. Whatever he said to them at half time, he gave them the kick up the arse they needed. I think Arsenal are missing that focal point up front. They are missing that focal point. I spoke to Morris about this. I wouldn't be shocked if on Sunday at one stage we see a returning Emile Smith-Rowe come on the left and see Martinelli play through the middle. That's if Eddie can't, you know, put a stamp on things on Sunday. And I do believe he's good enough to, by the way, because I think the kid's a finisher. And I don't think his all-round game is where Arsenal would like it to be, but I think as finishers go, he is a good finisher. And, you know, Gabriel Jesus, for all his hard work and his endeavour, didn't get the amount of goals that he needed for Arsenal. So Eddie provides a completely different sort of a fixing in there. He doesn't have the work rate that a Jesus has, but if the ball comes to him and it breaks to him, you know, I'd probably back him to score quicker than I'd back Jesus to score off a chance, you know. I think Martinelli could do a job through the middle, and they could maybe get Emile Smith-Rowe back on the left-hand side. I think other than that, they are a little bit light up front, and finding out where the goals are going to come from. The one thing I will say, and, you know, we spoke about this guy quite a bit when Arsenal were doing a deal for him. The boy Martin Odegaard's been absolutely phenomenal. And he's the ace in the hole for Arsenal. At times he's been unstoppable in this league, and you know, other teams have really struggled to get to grips with him. The way he floats in between the two lines there, picks up the ball. You know, if you get close to him, he lays the ball off. If you get too far away from him, he can let the ball go from 20, 30 yards. He's a smashing player. I think this is his opportunity to stamp his authority on that Arsenal dressing room and say, you know, because at times earlier on the season, some of the Arsenal fans were kind of getting on top of him and stuff like that. I think if he puts in a big, huge performance on Sunday, maybe a man of the match winning performance for Arsenal, that could really push them onto that title.
Yeah, he's a great reading of the game as well, isn't he? To arrive late and on the ball and stuff like that and all. I've been so impressed with him. And like I was so impressed with him even from the start of the season, when a lot of Arsenal fans were digging in on him and stuff like that. I think he's come to the forefront. I know he's not that kind of captain where he's going to get up in your face and shout and do all that kind of stuff that people like to see sometimes on the pitch, but he goes about his business in a very clever way and stuff like that. And sometimes you don't often have to be seen in a game to influence it. You can be just there at the right moments, and he's that type of player and stuff like that. Morris, how do you see it? How do you see it sort of going? I know obviously history would say that it's a tough place to go and stuff like that. You have a lot of tough fixtures coming up and stuff like that. This is a big 3 weeks for Arteta. This is a title-defining 3 to 4 weeks coming up. And I'd imagine surely to God you're going to bring in a player, if not two.
Yeah, we need to go straight out of the traps on Sunday, because you've seen Tottenham, except for last week, they've been going behind in games. So if we could get a couple of early goals against them, I think we could put them away. I think the longer the game goes on, it'll probably suit them. But I would echo what Kyle said with the bench. Like I've been taking kind of screenshots of the bench every week and sending it to you guys and going, that's a fucking joke. Like last week against Newcastle, then we needed an option off the bench. All he could bring on was Tommy Asu for Ben White. There was no one else there that he kind of trusted in an attacking sense. So that's where I'd be concerned.
Yeah, I'd echo that, because I gave up sending pictures of our bench. It was that bad. So we're kind of in the same boat as well. Kyle, what do you think? I mean, from a positive point of view, I know you have to see it sometimes for what it is, but do you believe you can go there? Do you believe you can go there and do a job? You have that. You have the 11.
I think we have the 11 to go out there and do the job now. I have no faith in Ketia leading us up top. I just don't think the man is good enough. That's just my opinion. But I think overall we have enough to beat Spurs. But Niall, I'd like to say Spurs and Arsenal, form goes out the window on a derby there. It doesn't matter. Spurs could be bottom of the table, Arsenal could be Champions League winners. Don't matter. When it comes down to the local derby game, form is out the window. I think this is going to be a difficult game. I think Spurs are going to be up first. I think they're going to make it hard first. I don't think they want us to go out there and win. Harry Kane has something to aim for. Conte wants to pick up his men as well. So this is not an easy game. This is not us going to the White Hart Lane and winning this game 3-4-0. This is going to be a tough game. We need our top players to produce the goods, as in Martin Odegaard. Has to be a massive game from Odegaard. Saka the same, Martinelli. The back line have to be on top form for Harry Kane. So yeah, overall, we have what it takes to go out there and win. I'm just nervous now, because I tell you why I'm nervous. I think since the Newcastle game, this is just my feeling, since the Newcastle game, going into the Spurs game, and then we have those bastards then Man United coming up. They're playing serious football. And we have a huge couple of weeks coming up. This is make or break time. Let's get this right. This is make or break time this next 2 or 3 weeks. This would tell us a lot. If we don't get in a couple of quality players now in the next couple of weeks in this January window, I personally believe we have blown our chance of winning the Premier League this season. And believe you me, if this is the case, I want to see the back of Edo straight away. I want to see Vinay go on and questions to be asked on Arteta. His time will be running out. This is a chance now. No excuses.
Yeah,
Let's see now what we're made of. Let's see how we got the balls to do what everyone thinks we're going to do.
Yeah,
I've seen this too many times now over the last 18 years, man. I've seen it too many times. We're going there, we think we're going places, and all of a sudden, we crumble.
Yeah. I suppose, Darren, from Arteta's point of view, I mean, he'll want to bring players in. I mean, he's not that naive, you know what I mean? He's a decent coach, so he'll want to sign players. It's whether they can get the deals done or not in the January window for the players that they want and the level that they want.
The January window is notoriously difficult. When you factor into that, we've just come out of the back of a World Cup. Prices are massively inflated. Deals are very, very difficult to be done. Look at how few of them have been done so far. I mean, what are we? Are we at the 12th now? We're the 12th of January. We're a third of the way through the window. And, you know, you could count on one hand the amount of good deals that teams have got over the line. Very, very difficult. I think Arteta has Arsenal moving in the right direction. I think just because they don't have, if they don't have the window they want, I don't think it's panic stations, because I think we've seen at times over the last few years some of the better teams, the Liverpools and the Man Cities, who have been the better two teams in the league for the last 3 or 4 years, at times when they couldn't get what they wanted in windows, they sat and they waited, and they waited for the next opportunity, and they got the right player and they got them for the right fee. And when you got them into that 11, so I mean, I think for Arsenal, this is still building blocks. They were never favourites coming into this league. They're getting a sniff, which is great, and it's great for Arsenal. And it's probably a sniff earlier than they thought they would get it, because again, as you say, Morrison and Coyle, the squad still isn't what Arsenal fans or Arteta would want it to be. So I think it'd be very harsh if they didn't win the league at this stage, to be getting rid of Edu and to be getting rid of Arteta and stuff like that. This is building blocks. If Arsenal can make Champions League this year, at this stage, you'd nearly say Champions League is guaranteed for them. They get Champions League, they can go and attract a much better standard of player, knowing that they're not playing Thursday night football. Arteta has another year under his belt looking after the team. He's learning on the job as well. 3 or 4 additions in the summer. That's another big boost to that squad. And then Arsenal can go and look to win a league next season. I believe this year might be a step too far for them, just because it's so early in their progress as a team and as a squad. But that's not to say that they're not going in the right direction. It's not to say that they couldn't do it next year,
Similar to Klopp at Liverpool. Nearly
Absolutely.
got there and then got there. Very similar shades of that and stuff like that. And
Absolutely.
plus they'll have that guaranteed Champions League money as well, which will be huge as well in their coffers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think they could do it. I really think they could do it. I'm probably the most confident non-Arsenal fan that's out there creating content at the moment.
For me, the reason why I said that if we don't do the business this year, that Edo and Vinay out the fucking door with him, is because we're spending 400 million on this current squad, and this is our Arteta squad. Questions have to be asked if they don't succeed. Like, simple as.
Yeah, I think you're right in some aspects there, but I think a lot of work has had to go on as well in clearing out a lot of what was there as well. And a lot of his focus has been in clearing out the likes of Aubameyang and players like that and stuff like that, and having to change that. And that's a huge task as well. And when you think about how Arsenal was literally on its backside, and he had to change that culture so much as well. It's not easy to do that either. It's not easy to turn around and send an Aubameyang out the door and still have the support of the squad there and stuff like that, and understanding that. And we've seen that in the documentary as well. And I think Arsenal have taken huge steps forward this year, where you're starting to see a more consistent performance with them. And you can see what they're trying to do. You can see where they're trying to go. And as Darren said, maybe this year might just be a step too far. But I like Darren said, that wouldn't be a cause for me to abandon ship. The stuff that Arteta has had to do there is absolutely huge. And when you see it as well, Coyle, you look at Chelsea. Chelsea have thrown millions and millions and millions and millions at their squad. Probably as much as Arsenal's, not more. I think I read the other day something like 320 million they've spent already on forwards, just on forward players alone. And when you see the trouble they're in and they're all over the place and disjointed, and Darren will turn around and say they're very imbalanced and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a balance to Arsenal. There's a plan. There's a playing, there's an Arsenal way of playing now, and there's a resilience as well. When you think of the amount of 1-0s and 2-1s and stuff like that, there's a resilience about them now before, where they would have had a softer belly and they would have bowed down on some of those results. They would have been draws. Now they're wins. And that's the sign of a team that's really, really progressing. And I just think it's a great time for you guys. You should really lap it up and enjoy it at the moment. You have a taste of a chance of a title. And as Darren says, it might be a step too far, but if it is, watch out next year. Even if he brings in another 2 or 3 players on the strength of that Champions League money and stuff like that, Arsenal's going to be a very different side even next year as a prospect. And you have a great chance this year.
I think what Kyle is saying as well. Sorry, Darren.
Go on ahead, Morris. Go for it. No, go ahead.
I think what Kyle is saying as well, though, it's because the position we're in now, we should just grab it by the balls and just get these players now and just try and push on and win the title. But as Darren said, it's just very hard to get players at this time of year.
Yeah, but Morris, as well as that, man, I hear what Darren's saying. Darren is spot on what he's saying about the January transfer window. That's very hard. But here's what I'm saying. We talk about getting Felix, for example. Now, I'm not a great lover of Felix. That's my honest opinion. But we're talking about getting him. And we wouldn't do it. Chelsea walks in, gets the deal done in 2 days. Are we going to act like a big fucking club, or are we going to act like a small club?
Do you know why?
Darren,
Arsenal didn't get the deal done? Because they're too clever. Because the deal for João Felix is a fucking terrible deal for Chelsea. Terrible. They've spent the guts of 16 million on a guy that's just been sent off, right? He's a 3-game ban. He's going to be 4 games in, no goals, no assists. Yeah. He's a 6-month deal. There's no option or obligation to buy. He's just added on to his deal at Atletico Madrid. Arsenal don't want to touch a player like that because he's not coming for the right reasons. He's only coming from Atletico because he can't stand to stand in the same dressing room as Simeone. You want players that want to come and be attracted to Arsenal as a club, to Arteta as a manager, and to your squad as, as another piece to the puzzle. Arsenal didn't want Felix as much as Felix wanted Arsenal. I can tell you that for now.
Well, why were we linked to him? Why did we want them then? Why did we?
But that's paper talk, Kyle. Paper doesn't refuse ink, man. You can say lots of things. I can say fucking mass on here, but it doesn't mean it's true. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be able to look at it on the face of it and say, okay, is Felix exactly what we want? Does he fit the style of play? Is he the exact kind of player we want? I don't think he is. I think he's very similar to Odegaard. And in fact, I think Odegaard is a better player than he is.
Felix
said he wanted the Chelsea project as well. That's what he actually said.
That's not the biggest shot you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah. And I suppose looking at it from the outside as well, if you're going to bring in players, you don't want it to be real reactory and kind of short term getting to a place. Yeah. You want to bring in the building blocks that you know is going to be there next year and the year after and the year after that. So you're not only going to win a league potentially and be like Leicester and then disappear and go into the mush. You know what I mean? I think it's I think what he's doing is he's being very shrewd. I'd be very surprised if Arsenal don't bring in 2 players in this window. I'd be shocked.
Well, I have a question for you, Stein. What about where we're linked to this
Mudryk?
What's his name? Zorich, or the Ukrainian fella.
Mudryk.
What do you think? Do you think that's all paper talk too, or do you think that there is something?
No, you're very interested in him.
Fabrizio Romano actually just tweeted there that an official second bid has went in only about an hour ago there. An official
second bid.
And Kyle,
do you not think that's a bit fucking stupid on Arsenal's behalf, then? Because I do.
They're looking for mad money, though. I think, Kyle.
They're looking for 80 to 100 million. If you're to believe the reports. And the other thing is, he's on fucking proven. He's playing the Ukrainian League, a Farmers League. He's actually playing 42 games.
This kid's an absolute baller. And
do you
wherever
think so,
he goes, this kid is fucking magical, Kyle. Yeah. Magical.
But Darren, it's the Ukrainian League we're talking about, pal.
Huh?
It's the Ukrainian League we're talking about.
Yeah, but they still play Champions League at Shakhtar. I mean, he's got to go to Inter. He's got to go to Barca and play games on a Wednesday night. Like, you can't just say because the league he's come from is a poor league that he's not a good player. You know what I mean? This kid will prove himself. I don't need to talk him up. When you see him, you'll see how good this kid is.
Do you think it's going to be a good one then, Darren? Yeah?
This kid's a serious baller, Kyle. He's a very good footballer.
Is he worth 80 million, man?
Well, I tell you, here's the problem, right? And when, after COVID and stuff like that, there's a lot of clubs are stuck for money.
Yeah.
And players were going for astronomical fees. Look at what United paid Ajax for Anthony. We paid over the odds for him. Liverpool paid over the odds for Darwin Núñez. Chelsea paid over the odds for Romelu Lukaku. This happened.
Yeah.
And when you set City paid over the odds for Jack Grealish. And when you set this kind of a benchmark, people that come afterwards think, well, if that's the benchmark, I want that.
Yeah.
Now, Shakhtar are saying if Anthony went for 80 and if Jack Grealish went for 100, then that's the type of money we want for this kid because we believe he is as good as both of those lads, if not better. I would say on raw ability alone, he's better than both Jack Grealish and the boy Anthony. Me personally. So
well, it's good to hear that, Darren, because I haven't heard much about him at all. So I'm interested in hearing your opinion about him.
I think he's the right type of player for Arsenal to be linked with. I think Shakhtar are making the deal very, very difficult, but Shakhtar need to be careful because Crystal Palace have done this for the last few years with Wilfred Zaha, where they priced Zaha out of a move. He was on his way to Arsenal. He was on his way to Chelsea. People wouldn't stump up the kind of cash that Palace wanted. Wilfred Zaha walks out of Selhurst Park next summer for free.
Yeah.
And that's a huge loss to Crystal Palace. A huge loss. So Shakhtar have to be careful not to, burn their hands when they're trying to get onto that money.
And Arsenal will be heavily linked to Wilfred Zaha when he walks out of Crystal Palace for
I was
free.
about to say, absolutely.
100%.
They should be.
100%.
Yeah, he's a great footballer.
A
He
great
lives in that
footballer.
league week in, week out.
Yeah, I'd love to have Zaha at Arsenal. Love to have him at Arsenal.
Top player.
Well, Darren, big up to you, man, because very interested in hearing that there from your point of view there. So hopefully, if on that note, hopefully we get him then if he's that good.
Yeah,
he's a very, very good footballer. He's very direct. He's got skills to beat the band. He can go inside and get the ball off. He can go outside and get the ball in. He's very, very good. I would say the one thing you're going to need as a squad to make the best out of that boy Mudryk is a centre forward. Because if he's getting to that boy line and he's pulling that ball across to the 6-yard box to the penalty spot, he wants a guy there that's going to put bullet headers in all day long. And that's the other piece of the puzzle that Arsenal will want for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, good show. Good show.
Very good. Very good.
And I suppose we also have to say as well, Shakhtar Donetsk are a fabulous club as well. They're a well-established Champions League club.
Very well.
And are quite competitive in the Champions League as well. So not to be a lot of English teams have underestimated them in the past and got smacked up by them a few times. So yeah, absolutely. Right, I suppose we go with predictions. Morris, give us a prediction. I want you to give us a prediction for both derbies, lads. Think about both derbies so we get a prediction off you for both. Morris, you kick us off.
I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Man United and 2-1 to Arsenal.
2-1 Man United, 2-1 Arsenal. Nice. Acer's back in the comments as well. For Arsenal to win on Sunday, Arsenal have to play like Aston Villa did against Tottenham and bully them from start to finish. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what Arsenal have been doing this season. Ian is back in the comments as well. Support and watch all podcasts. Share all the love of football. Absolutely, Ian. Spot on. Cheers, Morris. He said earlier, a little bit of the bubbly, a bit of the Jericho there. And Acers is back in the comments. Mudryk is a baller in the Champions League. Scored home and away against Celtic. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that'd make you a baller though. Scoring against Celtic.
Absolutely. Coyle, give us your predictions for both derbies.
Yeah, unfortunately, Niall, don't like both those clubs. Man City, Man United, especially fucking Man United. I hate them. I'll tell you how much I hate Man United. I'd rather see Rangers win the European Cup than Man United win the league. That's how much I hate them. So I'm going 2-1 to Man United. The Scum will win because I just feel that the Scum will beat Man City on Saturday, unfortunately.
Okay, and give us your derby one. You're not London.
Yeah, I've no confidence at all in this one. I'm afraid.
Keep the positivity going. If Man United are going to beat City, surely you have to keep it going. Come on.
The Scum will win and we lose. I'm going 2-1 to Spurs.
God, opportunity missed. The door blasted wide open and you don't take it.
I swear to God, if this do happen, the television is going straight through the fucking window.
Just don't break the phone or the camera or the laptop. You're back doing the content.
The doctor said to me, Dad, I won't be around here on Sunday.
I'm not going to push your buttons here either. We were looking at the boy, was it Darren Lewis Hall earlier playing for Chelsea? Yeah. And I said in our WhatsApp group, have a look at him, Coyle. He's the image of Damien Duff. He has to be related to Damien Duff.
I'm
not gonna get you going on him.
No, I talked about that bollocks.
Darren, give us your predictions.
I'm trying to not sit on the fence, but I just see 2 draws. I think 2-2 in both games.
God, two draws would be so disappointing, wouldn't it, for the weekend?
Well, 2-2s would be decent. Plenty of goals, lots of talking points, But I see them being very, very hard fought games. And the weather could play a part at the weekend. The forecast for Manchester on Saturday and for London on Sunday isn't great. So that could play a bit of a part in both games. So keep your eye on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the comments, City and Tottenham bank on it, says Acers. And Ian's back in the comments. You're entitled to your opinion, fella. Yeah, absolutely. And joining us, Kyle, Warren's Team Talk is in the chat. Hi there, Kyle. How are you, Warren? Check out Warren's show every Saturday. It's absolutely classic. I'm always in the comments on it. Great banter and stuff. His dedication to his shows at the weekend are absolutely fabulous.
He's the top man. Big up to him.
And Warren, I seen Warren's episode. He went in hard on the Arsenal there. I think it was today or yesterday. I watched it today anyway. Warren, give us your prediction for the North London derby. Can't let you off the hook. We have to have a prediction and try and be as positive as you can. I know that was a tough episode you did today or yesterday, so let us know. Ian is in the comments. He reckons 3-1 Man United. Darren will take that all day.
Oh, you sure would, you know.
And Warren's Team Talk back again. I hope you lads are all well. Hope you are feeling about the Brighton game. I'm not feeling anything about the Brighton game at all. Cheap is back in the comments, very offended at all this. And Warren is giving me, Kyle, what do you reckon? Warren's going 1-1.
Warren's he's more positive than me, then, so he is.
Oh, I tell you. Interesting. Agreeing with Darren. Darren went 2-2, so the draw. Interesting. Well, gents, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, as always. We love these Thursday chats. Thanks for coming on. North London derby. Hopefully, London will be red and not white. And I'm sure Darren is hoping that Manchester will be red and not blue.
Absolutely.
And I know probably by 5 o'clock on Saturday, I'm probably going to be feeling a little bit blue. When Brighton might do a number on us, who knows, but hopefully not. But until next time, folks, an absolute pleasure. Don't forget, check out all the channels. Cheapy Productions podcast, banging the stuff out at the moment. And Kyle Walsh Gunner back with a bang. He came out of that hibernation cave, gave C19 a kick in the backside, and he's back with a bang. And we're going to look forward to that content, of course. Rounded out, of course, with Warren. Have you seen Rubber Duck, guys? Rubber Duck. And Joe Cole is losing his shirt over Chelsea. Great comedy. Joe Cole losing his shirt. Liverpool lost their shirt on Joe Cole, but enough said about that. But until next time, folks, an absolute pleasure. If you want to contact the show, it's the uppertierpodcast@gmail.com. Check out the Brighton preview that I did earlier. It's comical for the first few minutes. I had a dog ripping headphones off my head. I had a delivery guy at the door, all sorts of chaos going on. Nearly dropped dead running back up the stairs trying to stay live and all this kind of thing. Bit of fun, doesn't always happen. I will be back Saturday for my sins with a match reaction and player ratings. And who knows, I might even drop a little match reaction for the two derbies as well. Could be fun times this weekend. Gents, enjoy the football this weekend. I hope your teams do the business, or maybe not. Until next time, a pleasure as always, folks.
Big up, lads.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers.
Thanks, lads.